Welcome back to How to Grow My Small Business. I'm your host, Lindsay Fletcher, and I teach small business owners how to build profitable businesses with faith, strategy, and confidence. Now, we talk about all things business growth here, but specifically sales, marketing, and time management, because we are all about building a business without living your life on social media or working 24/7. Thank you so much for joining me today for I believe this is episode 86. I can't even believe it. We are just a few episodes away from hitting that 100 mark. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Your support means the world to me. And if you haven't already, hit the follow button so you don't miss any episodes in the future. Okay, I want to ask you a question, friend. Are you ready for the craziness of Q4? Or did I just spark a little bit of anxiety? Because Q4 brings business and kids and holidays and all the parties for all the activities, right? Moms especially, I feel you here. I have 4 kids and there is it just feels like it's an endless list of parties. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas parties, galore, all the things, right? And there's the team parties and the school parties and then the work parties and the networking parties and just all the parties. So the last 3 months of the year always trigger some feelings, and it can be exceptionally amplified when you are a business owner because Q4 is literally a week and a half away at the time that I'm publishing this episode. And if you're someone who just got stressed out because I was talking about Q4 and all the things that are going to happen, all the parties, right? You need to join Momentum. It's my group coaching program, and inside that group coaching program, we are already planning for Q4. So we are ready to execute and make money, but also we are ready to do it and keep our peace. So join us so that you can have a successful Q4 and keep your peace too. Okay, check it out at momentum.lindsayfletcher.co. Okay, today I want to talk about something that's been on my mind for a while. I did a podcast episode, back in the episode 20s range about hustle culture and how to create margin in our small businesses. And this kind of goes along with the Q4 theme, but everyone says that for the first 10 years of business, you'll just have to work 24/7. You'll have to hustle your tail off. You have to be on all the platforms. You have to be on the Instagram and the Facebook and the TikTok and the LinkedIn, and you have to be everywhere all the time. And I'm just here to tell you that we've built a 7-figure business in 3 years without all of those things, without hustling, without living our whole lives on social media. We've just been strategic. It's called having a strategy, doing the strategy, evaluating the strategy, and then adjusting the strategy if something isn't working. And I want to talk about opting out of hustle culture and breaking up with busyness and not doing things just because everyone, in air quotes, is doing them. Like, who is everyone anyway, right? It's the them, right? They said, or, they are doing, and everyone. Who are those people anyway? Like, who are the people that are actually telling us this? Or are we making things up? Or I don't know. So we're going to talk about creating margin in your small business because time management is something that my clients and a lot of small business owners just in general struggle with because we're wearing all the hats and doing all the things in our business. And I want to talk about this today from a biblical perspective, okay? This is a super important topic to me because this is something that I have struggled with personally in the past, and it's something that I just feel like we need to talk about more and we need to keep it in the front of our minds. I struggled with creating margin. I was the queen of putting 20 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound sack. Like, y'all, I owned the potato farm, okay? It wasn't even a 10-pound sack. I would squish 20 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound sack, or I'd try to, and then I'd be upset with myself when I couldn't get everything done. Like, why do we do that? Why do we shove 20 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound sack? And then we're mad because the sack doesn't carry the 20 pounds of potatoes because it's only built for 5 pounds. And then the end result of that was that I wasn't showing up in the way that I wanted to with my friends, with my family, with my kids, with my husband. And I think this is just a really important topic in the culture and in the country that we live in. It's all about hustle, 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 go, 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 do more, be more, show up more, be busy, stay busy. And if you're not busy, like you're crazy, right? Somehow in our American culture, somewhere along the lines, we have inappropriately assigned our worth to our productivity. So our value is based on, in our minds, how busy we are and how many things that we can get done in a day. And when I say that out loud, I don't know about you, but for me, when I say it out loud, that sounds ridiculous, but it's something that we all do, right? But the end result is that we're all living exhausted, we're burned out, we're living lives that are crammed, our schedules are overbooked and we're overcommitted, and so are our kids, right? And as a fellow mompreneur, I want better for us, and I certainly want better for our kids, right? Now, maybe it's not our own schedules. Maybe we've crammed our kids' schedules full because we're so afraid that little Johnny's going to get behind in baseball or soccer or violin or whatever it is that we've got them in, right? And we don't have any time left to breathe or to think. So I want to talk about this concept of being busy and how we can break up with busyness so that we can create margin, because that's where actual impact in our world can happen. So hustle culture creates this speed and disillusionment, right? Like it creates noise and it creates these impossible kind of stupid demands that we've all kind of put on ourselves. And oftentimes those demands are not put on us by anyone but ourselves. We still feel like we have to be busy, but no one's telling us that. We're just cramming our schedules full without being intentional, right? And then we feel like if we're not being productive, we're not worth anything. And if you're like me, I had done it to myself. Like no one was making me cram my calendar full of all these things that I signed myself up for. They're not making me sign my kids up for everything under the sun. Actually, and I will say in our family, little sidebar here, we have actually done a pretty good job of managing our kids' schedules. We have 4 kids, and so they can't be in 2 or 3 or 4 things at a time because we can't be in 16 places, right? So, but it was my own schedule that would make me feel overwhelmed, right? I would set these unrealistic expectations. I would put them on myself, and then I had myself feeling unworthy because I couldn't get all the things done that I had crammed in, right? So in your world, I don't know what that looks like for you. I don't know what you personally have going on. And maybe your kids' schedules where you've overcommitted them, which means you're overcommitted yourself, right? I don't know. Maybe it's overcommitting in your business, or maybe it's working long hours and you just don't know how to stop that, right? I don't know about your specific situation and what that looks like for you, but I'm just here sharing my heart today on this topic, and I hope that this will help you as well, because these are the things that I found over time really, really helped me. So let's talk about the symptoms of hustle culture, okay? There are symptoms of being busy and hustling and overcommitting, okay? It looks like waking up exhausted and overwhelmed. Go, go, go from sunup to sundown. We think our productivity is how we have to provide value or how we have to prove our worth, right? And then we end up snapping at our loved ones. We constantly dread the next thing. We say things we don't mean. We try so hard to be in control, but the matter of it, or the fact of it, is that the more we try to be in control, the more we feel out of control. Does any of that sound familiar to you? Does any of that ring a bell? Yeah, me too, right? And I'm here to debunk these lies, because God says that we are more precious than rubies. We are more precious than jewels because He created us. Our worth is not in the things that we do. It's not in our works, okay? Our worth is solely based on the fact that He created us and He loves us. That's what makes us worthy. Period. The end of story. Nothing else should we be tying our worth to? Okay. That is where our worth is. Our worth is in Jesus. So when we're feeling tired and anxious and cranky, and then we believe that we have to hustle more or things won't get done, or we won't be able to afford the way that we're living, or we won't be able to continue getting the amount of customers that we have, and then we feel burned out in life and motherhood and school and business and all the things, right? And then no matter how much we accomplish, we still feel empty because we're putting our worth in our busyness, in our hustle, and we're trying to be in control, and we're feeling the exact opposite, okay? So our worth is no longer tied to how busy or how productive we are in a day. It does not really matter how much we get done. That is not where our worth is, okay? And when we feel out of control, we start checking our schedules, right? Is that something that you do? We're always checking social media. We're just in a never-ending cycle that I really want to break for myself and my kids, and I want to help you break it too. And I think I've done a pretty good job of breaking this cycle over the past several years and setting a better example. So I want to share some tips with you if that's okay with you. I want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. Why are you hurrying? Why are we rushing? Why are we overcommitting ourselves and our families? Where did we get this idea that we have to be all the things to all the people and that we have to be busy all the time? And that if we aren't living the right way. Where did we get that? Because that is not at all the way that God designed us. That's not what He wants for our lives. And let me share with you what I think has happened. I think that there were some seeds planted, maybe in our childhood, maybe in our adult productivity. Somewhere along the lines, we had a seed or 2 or 12 that were planted that made us believe those things. And now those things have formed deep roots in our beings, okay? Maybe it's the fear of failure or rejection, or maybe it's pride. No one else can do it like I can do it, so I have to be the one that does it, right? Or maybe it's the need for accolades and awards and all of that. Performance is my weed, right? I have to pull it and pull it and pull it. And the weeds now are few and far between, but I really have to be careful of whether I'm performing for someone else or whether I am trying to move the kingdom forward, okay? So maybe it's the need to be able to tell someone else about all the things that you accomplished in a day, in a week, in a month, or in a year, right? We misplace our identities in our works. And listen, I have been guilty of this. I'm still guilty of it. I'm sure of it. I'm the girl that used to say, give me a trophy or tell me I'm doing something great. And I will show you that I can do it even better the next time than what you think I already did it. Like I will show you I can do it better. And maybe it's that we have mushy boundaries or that we have no boundaries at all. We're not able to say no. We don't know how to say no. And I just want to go through a couple of things that I've learned from my Bible studies in the past few years and apply them to our businesses. I am no theologian, okay? I do not have a degree or a background in theology, but I'm just going to share from my heart and what I feel like God has shown me in the last few years. God's boundaries are designed for our protection and for our peace. And one of the boundaries that He puts in place for us is that He models and mandates a Sabbath. So it's a day of rest. He mandates the seventh day as rest. Now, I don't believe that the God of the universe with infinite power, infinite wisdom, infinite energy, all the things, I don't believe that God needed a seventh day to rest. I believe that God was modeling that for us because He knew that we would be tired. We would eventually wear ourselves out and feel exhausted. We would feel overwhelmed or burned out. Why would He need rest? He's God, right? But He knows that we need rest, not just from a physical rest standpoint, but from a mental load, a creativity, and problem-solving standpoints. When we allow ourselves space, we can dream bigger. We can problem solve better. And God knows that about us, y'all. He knows because He designed us. So I want you to take a look at your schedule, and I want you to make sure that you are allowing at least one day a week where you are not working, okay? Where you're not in your business, where you're not responding to customers, you are walking away for a 24-hour period. And when we talk about rest in this scenario, I don't mean sleeping, okay? Rest can also mean play, like playing with your kids or enjoying a hobby, right? You have to make some time to reset, rest, and recuperate, okay? The 3 R's. I just kind of made that up on the fly. But, right, you have to have time to reset and to rest and to recuperate, okay? I also want us to take a look at Jesus's pace in the stories about him in the Bible. Now, this is really interesting to me, and when this was shown to me, it was like, oh, okay, like Jesus walked. There's not one account of Jesus running, rushing, or hurrying. Do you feel like you're constantly running, like you're constantly rushing, or you're constantly hurrying? Because I did, and even though I wasn't literally running, like I wasn't like, sprinting, I felt like I was constantly hurrying from one place to the next. I was constantly feeling like I was going to be late, even if I wasn't, or that I was constantly 5 minutes late because the one thing set me off course for the day, right? And I want to talk about the example of the death of Lazarus in John 11. This completely rerouted Jesus. Of course, he's God here on earth, and he knew that this was going to take place, right? But Jesus was the perfect example of not being in a hurry. He had the margin to change his plans. And when Lazarus died, Jesus took his time getting back to Lazarus's family and where Lazarus had passed. He didn't rush to get there. And when he got there, he took time to weep, and he ministered to Lazarus's sisters. And there's also the example of the woman who found Jesus in the crowd of people and touched his robe in faith and in hoping that she might be healed from the illness, the sickness, and the constant bleeding that she had experienced for many, many years. And Jesus stopped and he noticed her. He was en route, okay? He was en route to the next place. He was moving through a crowd of people, and the people around him and the people that were kind of ushering him through the crowd were moving people out of the way and making a path for him to go and to walk through this crowd of people. And he stopped and he made time for the woman who touched his cloak, okay? So there are so many examples of this in the Bible, many examples of him stop and retreating and going and praying by himself, right? And again, I'm not a theologian by any stretch of the imagination, y'all. I am learning right alongside you. But what I do know is that Jesus is never going to hurry. And I think that that is an example to all of us to remember that we need to create margin in our lives so that we can reroute if and when we need to, because we all know that it's not going to go 100% to our plan, right? We are going to have to reroute at some point. It's like the GPS in our car, right? When there's an accident on the freeway or there's a construction zone that's got traffic completely shut off on one side of a road, your GPS is going to reroute you. And it's the same thing. We have to have margin so that we can do that. That's where we actually make an impact, okay? That's where we actually make an impact in our customers' lives, in our communities, in our employees' lives. And in the margin is where we can stop if someone needs us, right? We can be available for our family and for our friends and for the important things in life that are outside of working and the crazy sports and activity schedules for our kids and all the things, right? It's when we create margin. So let's talk about how we actually do that, like some tactical, tangible, like real life scenarios, okay? So maybe creating some margin in your business means making time for revenue generating activities so that you can have some margin in your finances. Or maybe it's delegating some tasks so that you have time to be the visionary in your business, okay? So what that looks like for some of us is maybe hiring a virtual assistant to do our social media posts a couple of times a week, okay? Or maybe that's hiring a bookkeeper. I know I've talked about, bookkeeping many times on this podcast. That's something that we have hired out because it takes a load off of our mental stress. It takes it was kind of a time-consuming activity for us, and we've decided that that's just something that's not in our zone of genius. So if there are areas of your business or activities that you're doing that are not your gifting and they're not your love in your business and maybe not in your what they call zone of genius, handing that over to someone else who can do it quickly and efficiently so that you can stop spinning your wheels, so that you can then focus on the things that are going to move the needle and move your business forward and help it continue to grow, should be a priority. Okay, so delegation is a big one, right? The other thing is really evaluating your calendar and getting rid of tasks and activities that don't really serve you or your customers. And maybe that's something like scrolling social media. Maybe you need to get rid of the apps altogether from your phone. Maybe you need to delete them. And I've talked about this before, but at the very end of 2024, I've very clearly heard the Lord asking me, or rather telling me, to take social media apps off of my phone and to trust me, or trust him, not trust me, trust him. Don't trust me, trust him, right? It's actually been one of the biggest blessings in terms of creating margin in my life and in my business, because I was spending hours, and sometimes it was 1 hour, sometimes it was 2, 3, 4 hours. I would get sucked into listening to some business guru talk about something, and then I would think, oh, I need to learn more about that. And then I would try to go learn more about that on social media, which I don't know why I thought that was the place to learn. But anyway, that's a side note, right? Like, I would get sucked in, and then eventually I'd be watching like some cat video or some dog video or something that wasn't even like business related. And then I would look up hours later, and I would be like, oh my gosh, now I have to go pick up my kids. How in the heck am I going to get all the things done that I was supposed to get done today? And I would be super stressed out. So maybe it's taking social media off your phone. And now, right now, I've gotten to the place where I'm super strategic with my time on social media. I prep everything ahead of time. I get in and I get out of those accounts on my laptop. I don't waste 2 or 3 or 4 hours a day scrolling anymore. My house is a little bit cleaner. Okay, so we're not going into that today, but laundry is for the most part caught up. I'm not stressing about how much time I have each day. And don't get me wrong, we are the epitome of organized chaos at its best over here. Okay, I have 4 kids and 2 businesses and 2 dogs, but what I want you to hear here is that my brain feels clearer. My anxiety has gone way, way, way down. And I actually have margin to pray and to breathe during the day and to really think about what I'm doing, and not just doing something because someone out there says, hey, you should do this. I should do a podcast episode on all the shoulds in business, right? Anyway, side note. Okay, so maybe it's in your personal life. Maybe there are some things in your personal life you could delegate. Things like grocery pickup. Instead of going into the grocery and spending an hour or 2 picking out all the things, maybe you do a click list or an Instacart, or here in Texas, we have H-E-B, which is everyone's favorite grocery store, and I think they call it curbside, right? Or something of that nature, so that you can spend that hour doing something else that's productive in your business or productive in your home life, and that will help you move the needle forward and generate more sales, okay? So one of the things that we do in our house and in our family is we spend Sunday getting ready for the coming week. We meal prep and we cook up everything that we can, all the meat. I mean, literally, we cook up anything that we can to prepare for dinner, because dinner has always been a source of stress for me. What are we eating for dinner, right? Like the minute my kids walk through the door, and I'm sure yours do too, they're asking, what are we having for dinner? And my husband is actually the driver of Meal Prep Sundays. And if you aren't married and you're looking for a man, get you one that will drive the meal prepping, okay? Because it's a godsend. But anyway, on Sundays, we meal prep. We make sure laundry is caught up and everything is clean for the week. We plan out what meal is happening when, what sports schedules look like, who's picking up who and where and what time, right? Like, we get ready, because when our brain is making upward of 35,000 decisions a day, did you know that? Did you know that we make around 35,000 decisions a day as women? You heard that right. 35,000 decisions a day. And when you're making that many decisions, many of them are the same decisions day in and day out. Like, I need to go to the restroom, and I need to pick out a shirt, and I need to brush my teeth, and right? Like, all of those things. But we make upwards of 35,000 decisions a day. So when we remove the things like meal prepping and having dinner ready and knowing who's going where and when, it removes those things from the list of decisions that we make every day and every week. So here's my advice. Make a plan for dinner for the entire week and cook up everything you can. I promise it will save you time. It will save you money, because you aren't opting for an easy fast food pickup. And it certainly lessens the mental load. It has reduced my stress. It reduces my busy and my hustle, and allows me to think more clearly. And I don't have to actually think about what's for dinner anymore, right? I just want you to reevaluate, or evaluate for the first time, if you've never done this before, where you're spending your time. What is it that you're putting on your calendar? What are you allowing to happen? And maybe set some boundaries so that we can break up with being busy. We can unsubscribe from this hustle thing that we've got going on in our culture, so that we can live more productive, more creative lives, and also so we can set a better example for our kids, right? Like, I mean, as a mom, I don't want my children to grow up to be busy, hustling, overwhelmed, stressed out, panicky adults. I want them to set boundaries in their life so that they can live peacefully, and so that they can live fun and enjoyable and, yes, productive lives. I want them to be a productive member of society. And I don't mean productivity attached to their worth, but that they can take time out to go on a field trip with their kids, so that they can actually take some time to dream about what they want for their life and what they want their lives to look like for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, right? So take a look at your schedule. Take a look at your calendar. And if you're not already doing this, for 1 week, I want you to write down everything that you've done in your week. So, like, at the end of today, I want you to go back and fill your calendar, like, put things on your calendar that you did. Okay? And really take a look at, did I spend 2 hours scrolling because I got caught by some funny video, right? Okay, I want to do a quick recap here, because I feel like I've kind of been all over the place on and off my soapbox. And I want to recap this episode because I think this structure will help you create some margin. Okay, number 1, I want you to identify the symptoms of busy and hustle that you might be feeling, right? Exhausted, overwhelmed, you feel like you are going nonstop, you feel tired or anxious or cranky, or maybe it's that you feel empty no matter how much you get accomplished in a day. That's how I felt. I felt empty, right? I want you to identify the symptoms of the busyness in your life, okay? Step number 2, I want you to evaluate why you feel the need to be busy and in a hurry and constantly hustling, right? What seed was planted? For me, the seed was performance. I grew up a dancer, and I was on stage, and I got the straight A's and all the things, and I carried that into adulthood. I grabbed a hold of that performance thing, and as long as I was performing and making the good grades or getting the accolades, I was worth something, right? And I needed to dig that up. So what roots do you need to dig up? Is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear of rejection? Is it pride because no one else can do it like you can do it? Or is it that we've misplaced our identity in our works like I did? Or is it that we just need to set boundaries? We need to learn to say no, or that, hey, I don't have the capacity for this right now, right? You can say no without actually saying the word no, right? I can't right now, or that's not in my list of priorities in this season, right? So evaluate why you feel like you need to be busy. And then step number 3, is evaluating where you spend your time. Where are you spending your energy, and what are the energy sucks in your life? Again, bookkeeping was one for me, right? I would sit there and get all sorts of bent out of shape. And so for you, what is that in your business? What is that in your personal life? And what is it in your life that you feel like just sucks the life right out of you? Maybe it's not something that you can get rid of right away. Like maybe you're not at a point in your business where you can hire it, but maybe we can reevaluate your mindset around it, or reevaluate how much time you're spending on it, right? Maybe we can delegate that thing to someone. Maybe we can hire a VA and not hire a full-time employee, right? So let's really evaluate where we're spending our time, what really is important to moving the needle in your business, those sales and marketing activities that get you leads and get you closed business, and then what's really going to drive sales and growth in your company. So reevaluating where you need to delegate, where we need to create some boundaries, and then where you can just get rid of stuff altogether. And then also do that in your personal life. What are some things you can delegate? What are some things you can get rid of altogether? What are some things you need to say no to? Margin is imperative for us to make an impact. It's imperative for us to be able to notice our people, whether that's our kids, our family, other family members, whether it's our friends, our employees, the lady at the grocery store who's $1.47 short on her groceries, and we could easily cover that. If we are hustling and too busy, we're not able to look up and notice that there are people struggling in our world, our immediate world, right? And that's where the real impact is made. And I know that as an entrepreneur, I know in my heart of hearts that you want to make an impact with your business, but you also have to make an income. So let's create some margin in all the places, in our business, in our personal lives, in our finances, in our brain space, right? Let's clear some things up so that we have some margin, so that we can make a really big impact on this world. Okay, I'm getting off my soapbox. This was a little longer episode than I am typically recording, but it's been on my heart, and I hustle culture is just something that is ruining lives all across the world. In America anyway. Okay, so if any of this hit home for you, if any of this was like, oh my gosh, she has been following me around. No, I haven't. I haven't been following you around. But if you are a business owner and you need help with these things, that is what we do inside of Momentum, my group coaching membership. You can check it out at momentum@lindsayfletcher.co. I'll link it in the show notes. We will get you squared up. We will get you to the point that you have margin, that you can breathe. We will help you figure out what are the revenue generating activities that you need to continue doing? What are the marketing and sales activities and other types of activities that you might be able to delegate or just get rid of altogether? We will help you get to a place of peace in your business so that you have margin, so that you have the ability to make an impact. So join us inside there. If you have any questions, you can also email me at hello@lindsayfletcher.co. I hope you have a wonderful week. I am praying for you, and I'm praying for your business, and I hope that you are thriving right where you are. I'll talk to you next week.